Happy birthday. You're fired. Those are the words that led to my wake-up call. I'm a recovering coach, college coach of 12 years. And on June 14th, 2004, my birthday, my athletic director walked in my office and fired me. Now, the irony of that is he fired me for not winning a national championship. The irony of that is this is a guy who's famous for remembering everybody's birthday. And he would roll out a big cake at a staff meeting, surprise party, gifts. He took a little bit of a different approach with me that day. And at the time, I didn't realize, I didn't appreciate it, but it turned out to be the best birthday present I've ever gotten in my life. He gave me a little bit of a different kind of gift, and that's the shift. So what I want to share with you is the shift is very real, and it's something that connects us, who we are, to who we're capable of becoming. And it's my hope that everyone has either had and experienced a shift or is going to experience a shift in their life like I did on my birthday. So this recovering coach is going to share with you some wisdom from a great American philosopher and a scholarly journal, and I'll also share with you my shift. Which continues. That great American philosopher you might know better as the rapper Ice Cube. And that scholarly journal you're probably more familiar with if I told you it was urbandictionary.com. So Ice Cube in 1993 released a song titled Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself. And it was a platinum single in 1993. Coincidentally, when the song was released, it was also the year I began my coaching career. It was advice that I needed to hear back then. I just wasn't in a place where I was willing to hear it. It was really advice I needed to hear when I was 15 years old. Because when I was 15, I thought more is more. And really the shift is about the fact that we've been sold a false bill of goods. More isn't more, less is more. But I thought 3 sets on the bench was good, 6 would be better. If 3 miles on the road was good to run, 6 would be better. And on a Friday night, if 3 beers were good, I thought 6 would be better. I hadn't made the shift. So what I want to share with you is my experience as a coach, because check yourself before you wreck yourself it's about, the song is about a gangster's life, if you know Ice Cube, which I'm sure you all do. But really, the song, if you listen to it, is about a balanced life. And it's advice we all need to take. So there are 5 areas where, at least with a coach's lifestyle, are completely incongruent. And what I've learned as I moved from being a lacrosse coach, college coach, to being an executive coach, is the symptoms are similar. And the first area is, these are 5 things we hold sacred with athletes. And that's the NCAA has a 20-hour-a-week limit on varsity participation with our student athletes. That 20 hours, coaches usually hit halfway through the second day of the work week. You know, we grind and we grind and we burn the midnight oil, yet there's no limit in terms of the number of hours coaches can have varsity hours and work. It's just not congruent. The second area we hold sacred is strength and conditioning. And we'd send our athletes off with the strength coach to work out. And meanwhile, back in the office, this is a lot of coaches, back in the office, our idea of a workout, because we think more is more and we get a game plan and watch film, our idea of a workout while they're training is we're jumping to conclusions, pushing our luck, and running down the competition. And that's the reality of it. It's just not congruent what we're doing. And the third area, which is absolutely sacred, is the food that our athletes eat. They're high-performance machines, so they need to eat that way. You know, you are what you eat. We've heard that today. And they carve out the time for training table, and we make sure it's of the highest quality. Yet, we think more is more. So some days we're so busy we don't remember to eat. And other days we're in a hurry. We think, we have to maximize our time and be more efficient. So what we'll do is we'll get takeout, more than 1 slice of pizza, or we'll just go through the drive-thru at McDonald's. And it's just not congruent. The next area is hydration. That is a premium. You know, if athletes are high performance engines, you know, Gatorade and water, hydration is the oil that really lubricates and fuels the engine that allows them to sustain their effort. So we take water breaks and we build hydration into their lifestyle, much less practice. But what do? You know, you go into any coach's office, typically here's what you're going to see. You can walk over to the refrigerator and it's stacked from top to bottom with Red Bull, and then on top of it, you won't see this. You'll see a coffee pot. Because we think caffeine's going to help us. We're going to be able to grind harder and do more. And it's just not congruent. And that last area is sleep. The fifth area is sleep. You know, when I was coaching, you know, we would have bed checks and curfews for our athletes. You know, the night before game, we made sure they're all in their hotel rooms if we're on the road, you know, and they get 8 hours of sleep. We monitored their sleep with the help of our athletic trainer. And what would we do after we did the bed checks at curfew? The coaches would go back to the meeting room, fire up the coffee pot, and we'd grind and we'd watch film and we'd game plan. We thought more was more. And I think, you know, the universe sends you signs that you're redlining your engine. And it only sends you so many of those signs before the engine's going to blow up. So, happy birthday, you're fired. That was really my sign that I've been redlining my engine for far too long. Something had to change. Because, you know, those 5 areas of incongruence was just in season. You move to the off season when a lot of people think college coaches have downtime in the off season. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're an awful lot like a coach. You know, downtime doesn't exist to a lot of people. Especially coaches. In the off season, we'd stay in the office and we'd make recruiting calls at night. And there was one call I would make that wasn't to a recruit. And it was late into the night. I'd call my arch rival. And here's what I'd do. If they answered, I'd hang up. Okay? I couldn't go home yet. They're still working. I had to make more recruiting calls. I had to watch more tape. If they didn't answer, don't worry, I'd still hang up on their voicemail. But in my mind, that gave me permission to go home. In my mind, that meant I had beat them. I had won the day. I outworked them. More was more, right? So what I found in 2009, PS, it's post-shift, when I went from coaching athletes to coaching executives, that story I shared with you, it's common practice. I worked with some college teams and coaches, and I found that, you know, I'm not the only one that was making that phone call. It's pretty common. There are a lot of CEOs that I talk to. They make that call at night too, because they think more is more when less is more. It's about making the shift. And what happens invariably is I know that we all know what we should do, but are we doing what we know? We know what to do, but are we doing what we know? And it's the best way I can really illustrate this for you is I want to ask everyone to please stand up and raise their arm over their head. I don't know why so many of you are shaking your hand. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take your pinky and your thumb and make a circle. Everybody see me? And here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that circle and I want you to put it right here on your chin like this. Now freeze. Freeze. Take a look at the person next to you and say, hey, that's not your chin. Okay, have a seat. Let me explain what just happened. So what just happened is an example of the shift. It's an example of the shift. You didn't do what I told you to do. You did, because I told you to do this. You did what you saw me do. And it's a great example of how leadership plays out on teams, in organizations, if you're a parent, in homes. Okay? People aren't going to do what you tell them to do. They're not going to follow your word. They're going to follow your deed. They're going to do what they see you doing. Okay? So my shift was the realization that maybe if I had made the shift earlier, maybe I wouldn't have gotten the birthday present I got. But maybe a 11-7 loss in the NCAA Final Four could have been a win. Maybe it could have been national championship. I'd like to think that having balance and self-care would have been contagious with my team. They might have taken better care of themselves. I'd like to think that might have been worth 4 goals. And I think you see that play out an awful lot in corporate America and homes and schools, is that we think more is more. It's advertised to us. I think you'll all agree we're living in a supersized era of excess. You're told through advertising and the media, you have to do more to become more. You have to get more to be more. And it's just not the case. And this shift really didn't come to life for me until about 4 years ago. I wanted a new challenge in my life. I decided I want to train for a marathon, run my first marathon. I know you're looking at me thinking, Coach Brew doesn't look like he's built for speed or endurance. But I ran my first marathon 4 years ago, and I had a coach. It's my friend Greg, and he's like this uber athlete, ultra marathoner, triathlete. I think he's cyborg, really. And I just told him, I said, Greg, what's the one piece of advice you would give a rookie? And he said, John, the best thing you can do, he said, I know you're all about efficiency, and you keep asking me how you can shave time off of your mile, as you're training and you're logging more miles. He said, the best thing you can do, so when you get to the hydration station, he said, don't grab a Gatorade or water and suck it down on the run and kind of slobber it all over yourself. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop, grab it, and just sip it while you walk. Just sip it while you walk. Thinking, that's going to slow me down, man. What's he talking about? And he said, then just resume running. And I called him on it. I said, it seems really counterintuitive, Greg. Why would I do that? I'm trying to get faster. And he said, your body needs that transitory rest. So then you watch how much faster that next mile is going to be. And I'll be darned if he wasn't right. But what it got me thinking was, it was an example of the shift. It's an example of slowing down to speed up. We don't just need to do that in the workplace or in our training. We need to do that in our life. And the next thing it got me thinking was, where was he, or where was a coach with that information in 2004 when I needed it? In 1993 when I started my career? Or maybe, when I was 15 years old, and that's when I started burning the candle at both ends. And I think we all need coaches in our life like Greg that help us make the shift. We all know what we need to do, but do we do what we know? And I think that oftentimes we just need great reminders. We don't need an earth-shattering new idea. And that great reminder, because you look at advertising, and that, like, this supersized era of excess we're in. Let's take McDonald's, for example. McDonald's spends $2 billion, with a B, $2 billion on advertising every year. Why? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Why? Because it works. It works for them to the tune of $27.5 billion in annual revenue. They're top of mind. So how do we take this concept of the shift and advertise it to ourselves over and over and over again, day in and day out, until it's tattooed in our brains and our hearts and our minds? How do we do that? I think we need to do what McDonald's is doing. We need to advertise to ourselves that we know what to do, but in a way that'll help us do what we know. And the way I do that is, let's fast forward now to a couple months ago. I'm on a flight to Baltimore, and I have a confession to make to you guys today. I'm a mile high in the sky, and I engage in a guilty pleasure that I have on airplanes. And the flight attendant caught me doing it. I was reading the Sky Mall catalog. It's not completely true. I was shopping in the Sky Mall catalog. I couldn't help it. I didn't have the Sky Mall catalog. It had me. Because sandwiched right in between the canine genealogy kit and the wine glass necklace holder was a little thing called Ticker, the happiness watch. And what Ticker is It's called the Happiness Watch, and what it is it's a death countdown clock. And I know that I know. That may sound grim and disturbing, but let's take a look at some research. The Journal of Psychological Science determined that knowing when we're going to die, and Ticker will tell you exactly when you're going to die. It takes a personal health algorithm you plug in, like the federal government uses, along with your age, and it tells you right down to from the year to the month, right down to the second, how much time you have left on this planet. So right now I have 33 years, 5 months, 11 days, 11 hours, 46 minutes, 25, 24, 23, 22 seconds. So the Journal of Psychological Science determined that thinking of your death actually does two really good things for you, which is why I encourage you to think about it. The first thing it does is it makes us more generous. It makes us more generous with other people. I think you'd agree the world could use that. And the second thing it does is it makes you savor life more. I think we all need more of that. In essence, what it does is it helps you make the shift. So I think that this is, for me at least, the ultimate advertisement. It's the way that I keep top of mind that more isn't more, less is more. And what we need to do, not just when we're exercising, not just at work, but in our life, as part of our lifestyle, we need to slow down to speed up. If you think about, the consequences of thinking about your death and how it does change your perspective, take a look at anyone who's had a near-death experience. Perhaps you know someone who's had a near-death experience, or someone that's survived against the odds of serious illness. Everybody know somebody that either fits one of those two profiles? Doesn't it seem they have more zest for life after that occurrence? Thinking about your death actually gives you more zest for life. So what we need are these great reminders, because when you make the shift, three things happen. You don't live in circumstance, you live in vision. You don't waste time, you invest time. You slow down to speed up. And the third thing you do, when you make the shift, you don't count the days, you make the days count. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you, when are you going to make the shift? Thank you.